President Obama immediately condemned the legislation earlier, saying that the recent efforts in Arizona threaten to undermine the basic notions of fairness that we cherish as Americans. Also, a representative from Arizona, a Democrat, earlier in the week called for a boycott of his home state if they didn't disavow the legislation, which he called fundamentally racist. The Tucson office earlier, they often receive death threats. So you see what the problem here is. He released a statement after the bill was signed, calling on Obama to instruct federal agents not to cooperate with the Arizona law. He appeared later on MSNBC. He said it doesn't provide an impetus for Congress to act on immigration reform. We're missing the whole point, he says. Immigration activists and religious leaders, and even Senator John Kerry, the Democrat from Massachusetts that got his ass whooped by Bush, he lobbied Brewer to veto the legislation. Brewer, who is Arizona's Secretary of State, took over the governor's office when Janet Napolitano, she heads to Home Security, was named Homeland Security Secretary. So now she's the one that took over, and she's a Republican. So basically what this entails is we're going to get rid of all you aliens. That's what the Republicans in Arizona are saying, and the citizens that back it. They're saying, if we think that you are not an American or you're not legal status, we're going to search you. And see, I don't have a problem with you deporting people that are not American citizens. I don't have a problem with that. If you are in here illegally and you don't take the proper steps to become a citizen, I have a problem with that. And if they deport you, you're on your own. But Walt Take America's Pulse does not back you threatening and harassing United States citizens that are Latinos. I do not stand for that. I will not stand for that. If you sit there and you're going to tell me that you're going to harass all of these people, all these Americans and their Latino descent, man, I don't know, third, fourth generation, they've been here for a long time. If you're going to bother them, that's when I have a problem with the law. Now, we broke down the law, basically what it is. I told you what it is. They are going to have the right to say, any racist cop in Arizona that says, well, I don't like Mexicans, and we're just going to harass every Mexican we run up on. You can have a car full of Mexicans on the way to work. 3 of them could be legal, the other 2 could be illegal. So we're going to put them through hell. I don't have a problem with the law. If you want to put it in the context of, making sure that America is safe. But when you sit there and you bother good American citizens or people that are on the path to American citizenship, then I have a problem. So let's go down to breaking the law down, which we just did, stupidly. We'll talk about why. We'll talk about why it was signed. Now, the Arizona immigration law, SB 1070, was signed into effect by, like I said, Governor Jan Brewer on April 23rd, 2010. Even before it was enacted, it earned notoriety as the most stringent statewide immigration law in the United States. Of course, Barack Obama referred to it as irresponsibility. See, sometimes motherfuckers fuck up. On Arizona's part, it requires law enforcement officers to inquire about a person's immigration status. Listen, the law enforcement officers are required to inquire about a person's immigration status when they have a reasonable suspicion that the person is an illegal immigrant with a misdemeanor, even if they are lawful immigrants. So basically, if you're Mexican, you can't get around the whole fact that you're Mexican. Okay, the whole point of this is you're Mexican. If you are Mexican, you are liable to be searched and seized. Now, we've been through this before. See, with the blacks, African Americans, slaves, the fugitive slave law, the Jim Crow law. You cannot go around harassing motherfuckers because you feel like it. That's why I have a problem with this law. Look, I have no problem. There's 450,000 illegal immigrants in Arizona. We know this. We know this to be true. It's 450,000 to 500,000. We have to figure out a way to do this where we don't be ruffling feathers of regular citizens. God forbid you send a bunch of regular citizens away to Mexico and they're Americans. I know what it feels like to be pulled over for being black. I know what it feels like to be picked out for being black. And my ancestors know what it feels like to not be able to sit down and eat lunch because you're black. Same kind of shit. Fugitive slave laws. We have the right to check your shit. Same thing as Nazi propagandists. Same thing as the Nazi Gestapo. We can check you at any minute. And papers, please. You don't have your paper. Who the fuck has their papers? We'll go over that. The law purports to respond to the problem of illegal immigration along the southern border, which has long been a festering problem in Arizona, they say. Proponents of the law say that it responds to the failure of the federal government to control the southern border. Now that includes President Barack Obama and George Bush. You want to go back to President Clinton, George Herbert Walker Bush, Ronald Reagan. It goes back. It was not addressed. They point out that there are some 450,000 undocumented immigrants in Arizona and are likewise concerned about violence along the Mexican side of the border. Now, opponents of the law, likewise, lament the federal government's inaction on immigration, but they consider SB 1070 a horrible solution. They point out that it encourages racial profiling and that the vast majority of illegal immigrants are otherwise law-abiding. Now, they also point out that the free movement of labor is basically a righteous principle, and that mostly Mexican immigrants are only responding to the demand of the labor market, which this law cannot wish away. I have sources that are conservative, liberal, everything from all over the country via Facebook. Many in Arizona, New Mexico, California, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, all over the Southwest. And I'll tell you what, the conservative and the people that have problems with the Mexican immigrants, they are afraid of crime. I'm just telling you from that now, we done had a huge blow up on Facebook, one of my friends, because I've represented the side of the conservatives. I'm going to represent everybody before I give you my take. You understand how this works on Walt's Take America's Pulse? I give the sides of both sides, and then I give my take. Now, I know a certain person, I'm not going to blow your name up so you get all kinds of press, but I'm just telling you, you were ousted from the Walt's Take America's Pulse because of your insensitivity and how sissiness, how you applied sissiness to this whole deal, see? Excuse me. Now, my glasses might be crooked, but I'm still a good-looking motherfucker. Now, we know that. I'm going to go over from the conservative side a little bit so you understand. Now, coyotes, they're afraid of coyotes. The conservatives and the normal citizens of Arizona, not normal like, American citizens in Arizona are afraid of the coyotes. There are people that usher them. Not only are there regular coyotes that, turn women into sex slaves and things like that, but there are also coyotes that are there to make sure they get the jobs, the illegal jobs. So low-paying jobs put Americans out of work. The Arizonans are afraid of the coyotes. There are 450,000 to 500,000 illegals in and out of Arizona. They are afraid of Mexican culture that takes over. They are afraid that people are losing their culture. The Arizonan, the Americans in Arizona, they're afraid of losing their culture. From what I gather, from a lot of my Arizona sources, they're afraid of losing their job, their way of life, and their country. They are afraid it will affect the northern. They are afraid that Arizona and the likewise states will turn into a northern province of Mexico. Now, this is what I'm telling you. This is the conservative view. They are afraid of this. Yes, you can attack it from all angles. I'm just telling you what the fuck they're thinking, all right? They're afraid of the coyotes. They don't like the fact that they have 500,000 illegal immigrants. They don't like the fact that the Mexican culture is taking over. They don't like the fact that Spanish is becoming the new language of the region. They don't like that. They're afraid of losing their culture. They're afraid that they will lose their jobs, with language part of the reason. They're afraid of losing their way of life.